Did the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, just trigger the fulfillment of Bible prophecy with his shocking comments about the rebuilding of the temple? In addition to all of that, Obama, if you didn't think it was the last days, agrees with Trump on his immigration policy. Well, we're going to show you video clips of that, and we're going to be talking about a whole lot more. We're going to show you clips of RFK, J.D. Vance talking about putting America first. We're going to talk about Trump's reaction to Laken Riley's mom, which is very interesting. We're going to talk about Idris Elba. Is that how you say his name? Idris Elba, the British actor who's known for his role in the Marvel movies, has a crazy idea about how to reduce knife attacks in the UK. I think we have about a dozen video clips to show you, and we've got a short time to do it. But I've got with me, of course, Evan DiDio, who's going to be reading your comments.
Yes.
And taking care of your business here, making sure you're cared for.
Always.
While we're on this program. Evan, thanks for being
with us.
Yeah,
of course. Well, we got Amy from Ohio. Great to see you, Amy. We've got Shane from Mountain Morris. We've got June. Love my Encounter family from Lebanon, Ohio. We got a lot of Ohio in the chat. If you're from Ohio, why don't you type an OH in the chat? Shayla says watching from Douglas, Georgia. Teresa from Georgia. Let's see. We got Amy from Buckeye. Buckeye June. Heidi from Bothell, Washington. Caleb from Maryland. Priscilla. Always good to see you, Priscilla from Georgia. Granite Man from Raleigh. Hey, you ought to come by sometime. It's not that far away. Raleigh, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. We've got amazing people in the chat. Be sure to let us know where you're watching from. And as always, if you have a question, type 4 question marks before it, and I'll mark it for later.
Plus, we have an update on the drones, as well as several other news stories that are breaking right now. It's been kind of a flurry leading into this broadcast. I don't know how many of you have seen the clip of Lucille Ball trying to eat all of the chocolates. You know, that's trying to keep up with the Trump administration's executive orders and things that Trump is doing in the first week plus being in office. So we're going to do our best to get you up to date on all of that from a biblical Christian perspective. We want you to get all the end time news that matters to you. And we've got some shocking things, particularly about the temple, the rebuilding of the third temple, that we're going to want to talk about. And you're going to want to see this clip. It really is shocking, and a lot of fun things we're going to be getting into as well. Now, concerning the breaking news of the mid-air collision over D.C., it has just been reported that it is confirmed there are no survivors of that collision. And we here at Encounter News are not going to dive into any speculation. There's been a lot of really reckless speculation that has taken place over the last, however many hours that this has been a news story. So we'll bring you the news. Just make sure you stay tuned at encounternews.com. EncounterNews.com for all the end-time news that matters to you. A lot of amazing things are happening with Encounter News, and we want you to stay up to date with what's happening. So make sure you visit there every day. Every day. We write and put up probably 3 to 5 articles every single day to keep you up to date, to keep you informed, and to keep your faith fed as well, because there is hope in the midst of the darkness. There is hope beyond the scope of human limitation, and that hope is found in Jesus Christ. He lives, he lives. Salvation to impart. You ask me how I know he lives? He lives within my heart. And no matter what we get into here in this broadcast, no matter how dark it may seem, we even get into maybe the FEMA response, a FEMA response that's very interesting. No matter what, there's hope. We are not victims. We are victors, because greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. I want to dive into some of this very quickly, but before we do, make sure you're not getting your coffee from woke companies that will keep you asleep. If you really want to get good coffee, then you've got to go to encountercoffee.com. Encountercoffee.com helps us minister to people in Western North Carolina affected by the flood, those harmed by the fires, and the persecuted church around the world. It really helps our missions work around the world when you buy Encounter Coffee. We have the Wigglesworth blend, we have Azusa Street Mornings, and we have the Calvin Decaf blend now. You can get it ground or whole bean, and the Wigglesworth blend is organic as well. And
yes, it's very good.
It is delicious. So make sure you go to encountercoffee.com. Now, we got to get to some other breaking news. It looks like CBS is in talks. I just emailed this to Evan before we came live on here today. CBS is in talks to settle a lawsuit that has come against them for election interference. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, they interviewed Kamala Harris, and it seems they deceptively edited that interview. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a clip here. It's going to show you the original interview and what Kamala said, and then we're going to see how they edited it, and you'll see if there's any interference going on here. Take a look.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Wow, what a clear candidate! What a clear-spoken candidate, the way CBS presents it. And they have been sued for election interference, and they're so unconfident, is that a word? Not confident, in their position that they're looking to settle the lawsuit because that is what many would consider to be alleged election interference.
Wow.
And that's just one small example that covers a few seconds when we're talking about things that really happened in a very broad, sweeping way. And so it looks like now there's going to be a digital Bill of Rights that allows news agencies like ourselves and others. By the way, Encounter News is applying for a White House press pass. So we'll see what happens. Be praying about that. We know that those are limited, but Trump, we're looking at you.
Yeah.
And we've got our eye on you, whether we're in the press room or whether not. But we're seeing about getting our deputy editor of Encounter News there in the press room of Encounter News. But either way, we're going to keep him covered in the sense of we're going to make sure we call balls and strikes throughout this administration. Now, let's dive into another piece of breaking news that's brand new. Trump is announcing tariffs starting tomorrow. Let's see what his press secretary had to say. Do we have that? I think we do have that.
Yes.
Yeah, here she is.
I can confirm that tomorrow, the February 1st deadline that President Trump put into place at a statement several weeks ago continues. The president will be implementing tomorrow a 25% tariffs on Mexico, 25% tariffs on Canada, and a 10% tariff on China for the illegal fentanyl that they have sourced and allowed to distribute into our country, which has killed tens of millions of Americans. These are promises made and promises kept by the president.
Did you speed that up, by the way?
1.25.
Well, you don't have to speed it up, especially when it's like a C-SPAN clip like
gotcha.
that. But
Okay.
at one point, it made it look like she was a little hyper. She'd been drinking
That's
some
too much Encounter coffee.
That was the Azusa Street Mornings
Yeah.
talking right there. I could tell that's the Azusa Street Mornings. But what do you think about this, guys? Tens of millions, it's true, tens of millions have been killed due to the fentanyl streaming across the border. Obviously, China behind a lot of it, of course. But is that Jew in Greek I see there on the
Yeah,
screen?
he said unburdened by what has been.
There
and,
is
middle-class family.
There's rumor that the web page that used to house the former vice president's information at whitehouse.gov now says 404, this page has been unburdened by what has been. If true, it is epic. If
That's
true,
funny.
it is amazing. And yeah, that's what we love about the current administration.
Wait, Tony said, my wife got 2 bags of the coffee, and it's great. Thank you. Let's go.
Come on, man. Thank you so much. Well, keep them coming. Keep them coming. Keep getting your coffee from Encounter Coffee. Everyone who drinks it says it's some of the best coffee out there, and that's because we don't do things halfway around here.
That's right.
Yeah, we have been unburdened by what has been. We're on the cutting edge. Now, speaking of Trump's foreign policy, immigration policy, there's a clip of Obama's position on this, and it's interesting how identical he sounds to President Trump. I don't remember Selena Gomez going online and weeping when Obama came out with this clip. Let's take a look at what Obama had to say about illegal immigration.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported.
What?
If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
Actually,
If you're a
Obama
criminal-
was known when he was running for taking a tough stance on immigration, and he's making that clear as he's stepping into office. And then, of course, Clinton was famously known for his staunch stand on immigration and against illegal immigration and deporting. Bush as well, who we know is kind of like a neocon, and well, I don't even want to get into the Bush administration. So it's interesting. What do you think about that? To see why is it that there's so much outrage to say, listen, the adults are in the room, and now we have to enforce the laws that are on the book. And as far as I'm concerned, listen to me, believers, this is so important. the most crucial issue facing the Church of Jesus Christ in America today is the border. That is the most crucial issue. You could say that. You could say that solely because of human trafficking that's taking place across the border. That would be enough. You could say it solely because of the fentanyl killing tens of millions. That would be enough. However, it is the immigration of cultures that are antithetical to the United States of America, not just from the southern border. We're talking about all forms of illegal immigration that is affecting this culture. It is dramatically. You know the reason why such moronic. What was the word of the day that we had? Ultra-crepidarians.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Yeah, you have to look that up. You're always going to learn something here on Encounter Today. All the ultra-crepidarians that bloviate in the California legislature, how do they get into office? How are they elected? How do they win? A lot of that has to do with immigration, illegal immigration. And so we've got to get a handle on this. Evan, are you actually looking up the word?
I looked it up, guys.
That's cheating.
I care about our viewers, and I myself don't know the name or what the word means. So it means expressing opinions or matters outside the scope of one's knowledge or expertise.
How many of you know some ultra-crepidarians? How many of you have ever been an ultra-crepidarian? Hello, my name is Alan, and I used to be an ultra-crepidarian, and I do my best not to be one today. So do your part for civilization and try not to be an ultra-crepidarian. That's worth the broadcast right there, every bit of the broadcast. But we have so much more. We have so many clips. We've got to go one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, which, by the way, we are going to give you an update on drones here in a moment. We're going to give you an update on what the Trump administration has to say about drones. We're going to talk about the prophecy of the rebuilding of the third temple that just seems to have been triggered by the Secretary of Defense. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff we're going to talk about, but let's go to RFK. I want to go to the RFK hearings. These hearings have been crazy. And they're always kabuki theater, these congressional hearings where senators and congressmen grandstand. But it does get a little outrageous when they're not given a chance to speak. They're not given a chance to actually answer very deep and important questions. They're required to answer yes or no. Give me a yes or no. And of course, the question cannot be answered with a yes or no. But I think RFK's been doing a pretty good job holding his own. In fact, let's take a look at what he had to say about the NIH's programs of using fetal tissue from abortions. And let's see what he had to say there, because we like this.
On NIH, under the first Trump presidency, HHS stopped new NIH research that involved human fetal tissue from elective abortions. Now, you were asked about this sort of tangentially yesterday by Senator Cantwell, and I want to get your quote right. You said to her correctly, you said stem cell research today can be done on umbilical cords and you don't need any fetal tissue, which is correct. My question to you is, will you reinstate President Trump's policy that ensures that no federal research and no federal tax dollars is conducted on fetal tissue taken from elective abortions?
Yes.
Fantastic.
That's huge, by the way. That is huge. RFK, we don't agree with him on everything, of course. Actually, on a lot of things. However, how many of you are excited about the possibility of these, of getting the chemicals out of our foods, getting things that other countries have already said are detrimental to the health of their society, and getting that fixed in the United States, actually making America healthy again? And what are some of the things you're most excited about him coming into office and talking about? I'm specifically excited about him talking about the chronic disease epidemic in America, where that's coming from and how we fix it. In fact, we have a clip from the hearing of him, RFK, talking about the chronic disease epidemic in America. And let's hear right here what he had to say.
Trump.
So it doesn't matter that you're before us. It could be anybody coming before us, as long as they're a rubber stamp for this administration and disregarding your beliefs and what you think. I guess my question to you is, if it really is fundamental to what you believe, how do you live with that? How do you address those issues as you're moving forward,
You want me to
knowing
answer
that
the
it's going to
question,
harm
Senator?
Americans? Yeah.
You want me to answer the question?
No, I'm asking you.
Okay. President Trump has asked me to end the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. And I'm
So
in a
is that the
unique
only reason
position.
why you're at HHS? Is that the
Excuse
only
me.
reason why then you're at the HHS, to address that one issue?
President Trump has asked me because I'm in a unique position to end that. And that is what I'm doing. And if we don't solve that problem, Senator, all of the other disputes we have about who's paying, and whether it's insurance companies, whether it's providers, whether it's HMOs, whether it's patients or families, all of those are moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. Our ship is sinking. Our 60% increase in Medicaid over the past 4 years is the biggest budget line now, and it's growing faster than any other. And no other nation in the world has what we have here. That's right. No other nation has a chronic disease. We have the highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world. We had, during COVID, we had 16% of the COVID deaths in a country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. We had a higher death count than any country in the world. And when CDC was asked why, they said it's because Americans are the sickest people on earth. The average person who died from COVID, American, had 3.8 chronic diseases. This is an existential threat economically, to our military, to our health, to our sense of well-being. And it is a priority for President Trump. And that's why he asked me to run the agency. And if I'm privileged to be confirmed, that's exactly what I'll do.
Wow. There is a health crisis in the United States, not just physical health. There's a mental health crisis. By the way, breaking news as well happening right now as we're talking. A memo has just gone out requiring that all federal agencies remove pronouns from their signatures in government emails. A change has come, ladies and gentlemen. Woke is broke, and it is dead and dying. And how many of you are thankful for that? Now, we're going to get into a lot of stuff, but as you have questions throughout this broadcast, we want to read your comments. We want to answer your questions. And so you can put 4 question marks in front of your comment to make sure, there he is, yes. Evan sees your questions. And he's going to help us respond to them as we go throughout this broadcast. And we've got a lot more to talk about. We're going to talk about the update on the drones. What's been happening? Trump seems to have gotten to the bottom of it, or has he? We're going to look at the clip and see what the Trump administration has to say here in a little bit. Also, the third temple prophecy being fulfilled. But first, not only is there a natural physical health crisis in America, there's a spiritual health crisis in America, which is why we have got to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ in 2025 with such fervor and force and vigor as if it was our last opportunity. I truly believe that we need to take it as such. We need to preach as dying men to dying men. It is time for us to take a stand and declare the gospel of Jesus Christ and to see as many souls saved and transformed through that loving gospel as we possibly can, because I think this is an open window of opportunity. This is an open door for us. The question is, will we step through it? We have committed to stepping through it. In fact, I was just at the bank signing the paperwork. I'm going to be sharing more information about that this Saturday at the Encounter Charlotte. By the way, if you're in the Carolinas, we have church on Saturday nights. So you can come be with us for revival on Saturday nights at 6 p.m. at the Encounter Charlotte, and then get back to your church on Sunday morning, full of fire, full of faith, ready to pour into them or serve. Some of you serve every service, so you're not able to sit in service. Just come join us. We'll pour into you. We'll get some fire into you. And this Saturday, we're going to be talking about Paul's warning, urgent warning to the modern church, the end-time church, the church we're living in today. And I think it's going to be revolutionary, plus sharing some amazing updates. But we are committed to doing this. We are currently in the process of clearing 36 acres of land right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Why? To put a tent that will seat thousands of people on this land. And who's going to partner with us to do that? Mario Murillo is going to partner with us to do that. When this happens, the end of March, what are the dates, Evan? March 23rd?
Through the 27th, I think?
Yeah, 23rd through the 26th, 27th, something like that. It's Sunday night, and then Monday morning, Monday night, Tuesday morning, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night. We're going to have Mario Murillo, Todd Coconato, and myself, along with other guests that are going to be joining under the tent here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Number one, you need to plan to be here with us. That's number one. You can go to mariomurillo.org to get more information about that. But number two, if you are in ministry and you are in the Carolinas, so many thousands of people are going to be touched and blessed and give their lives to Jesus Christ. We have to get them into local churches. So all of you watching this right now, we need your help. We need to partner with local churches so that when these folks get saved, we can put them in these churches. And people are coming from all across the region. So it doesn't have to be just the Charlotte area. Anywhere in the Carolinas, even all the way down to Alabama. If you know a pastor or a church leader that wants to be a part of this, wants to put their shoulder to the plow, Mario Murillo wants to have brunch with that pastor. We're going to have a very small gathering. It's limited, just a few ministers and their teams who want to be a part of this. And it's February the 22nd. February the 22nd. I think we have a clip of Mario
Yes, sir.
talking about this. Listen, because he's about to share something he's never shared before. Here's what he had to say.
This is Mario Murillo with an urgent message. You may already know that we're bringing our crusade tent to Charlotte. We're going to see a massive number of souls saved and bodies healed. But what you may not know is that something has happened since Trump has won the presidency. Something is going to happen within the next 6 months that's going to affect your business, your church, and the way you operate. I know by the Spirit of God that something big is coming and we need to be prepared for it. To that end, I have a message I want to bring to you. On that Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on February the 22nd, you will hear this word from the Lord for you. The brunch is free. It's a beautiful brunch. It costs you nothing, but you must register to be a part of it. Again, understand the hour that we're living in. It's urgent that we get together. I want to see you there. I want you to bring your key staff. And please, because space is limited, register right away. The brunch again, February the 22nd, Saturday, 11 a.m. at the Encounter Charlotte. The address, 1651 NC 24, Midland, North Carolina. Remember, it's free, but register now.
So you got to go to mariomurillo.org. Now listen, all of you watching this, you know a pastor, you know a church leader that needs to be a part of this. Registration is going to fill up probably in the next few days. They need to go today. So you got to reach out to them, share this video, call them, and you go to mariomurillo.org, click events, and you'll see the February 22nd Pastors Brunch. You and your team, get them all signed up. And when he says space is limited, he's not kidding. It's going to be a small, intimate gathering with you, myself, and Mario Murillo. And we're going to talk about the vision for the coming year. And we're going to ignite your team as well, which is why you got to get key people from your team in the room. We're going to set their hearts on fire so they can see the vision. They can understand what it is we're believing for, what you're believing for in this region, in this time. And it's free for pastors and their teams. So, Pastor, if you're not able to be there, send a representative from your team, but you got to go register now. And you can do that at mariomurillo.org. And we've got so much that we have to cover. There's nothing more important than that. We're about to get to the drones. We're about to get to the possible fulfillment of Bible prophecy, the rebuilding of the third temple, all that coming up. But how about instead of just watching Bible prophecy come to pass, you be a part of it? You be a part of it. If you're anywhere in driving distance, you need to make plans. Alabama, Georgia, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. People are going to be coming from all over. We need churches to put them in. And this will ignite your church. Bring them. It'll get them on fire so you can see souls saved in your ministry. mariomurillo.org right now before it fills up. It's free for pastors and their teams. Go register right now. Evan, we're going to get to some more clips here. We got about a dozen of them to show to you. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but who else do we have in the comments and what are they saying?
Yeah, we've got, let's see, we got Faye Bill from, I think that's Missouri. We got, let's see, Janice, blessings from Eureka, California. Deborah from Minnesota, great to see you as well. And we've got some questions. I'm saving your questions. So if you have a question, put 4 question marks before it. And by the way, Kitty says, hey, Evan. Hey, Kitty, what's up? Let's go.
What is it with those blocks? That just looks, those blocks, big white block. And
yeah, I know. It's a new setup. So I'm testing it out, working on it.
He's always testing things while I'm on here live, trying to minister to you and get all this news to you. And he's just trying stuff out. But, you know, we want to be on the cutting edge. I guess that's what it takes.
We were listening to RFK earlier, right? And if you missed it, you need to go back and rewatch that. But what if we replaced confirmation hearings with are they senators? Are those senators that were? So what if we replace those with each senator sits down and does a 3-hour podcast with the candidate, right? And they just go deep into the senator gets however much time they want to ask, and all of those are put in an official site. Now, instead of trying to fit it all into one little segment, they spread it out, and it's accessible to the public
Everyone,
on social
the
media.
public, and everyone who's going to be voting on the confirmation. And they're not limited on time, which is why they do all the grandstanding. They have a short amount of time because everybody has to get something. And just let them sit down and do an extended podcast. That everyone elected and everyone in the population. That's not a bad idea. Has access to, Evan. Good job.
Well, I was trying to listen to it. It's just so annoying. So annoying to listen to. But Mel says, Evan, always testing Didio. Haha, yes. Let's see, Miguel. Evan is fire. Thank you. Thank you. I know this might be a little cheesy. We're working on it. Y'all are
testing
hanging with
my
us.
nerves. Evan's always testing my nerves, Didio. Hey, by the way, guys, did you see his live stream on Wednesday?
Oh, that was fun.
That wasn't because I wasn't here. He's going to start doing his own live stream, and I thought it was so full of meat. I was on my way to the airport after listening to the whole thing. I didn't want it to end. I wanted to hear more about the book of Daniel. Evan, you need to talk more about the book of Daniel.
We'll do it. We'll do a whole session on it.
It was amazing. So stay tuned for more programs like that. If you didn't see it, you need to go back and watch Evan's broadcast this last Wednesday. And if you know any young people as well, get them connected with it. I think they really enjoy it. We'll glean a lot from it. Let's dive back into the whole immigration issue. A lot of people saying that it's not loving to take the position that this administration has taken. And J.D. Vance was talking about putting America first from a biblical perspective. And let's take a look at what he had to say here in this clip.
But there's this old school, and I think it's a very Christian concept, by the way, that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country, and then after that, you can focus and prioritize the rest of the world. A lot of the far left has completely inverted that. They seem to hate the citizens of their own country and care more about people outside their own borders. That is no way to run a society. And I think the profound difference that Donald Trump brings to the leadership of this country is the simple concept, America first. It doesn't mean you hate anybody else. It means that you have leadership. And President Trump has been very clear about this, that puts the interests of American citizens first. In the same way that the British Prime Minister should care about Brits and the French should care about the French, we have an American president who cares primarily about Americans, and that's a very welcome change.
Excuse me while I make so much sense, right? I mean, when you're on an airplane, when the oxygen mask drops down, put it on yourself first, because if you pass out, you can't take care of your children. If the doctor is ailing, if the physician is sick, what's to come of the patients? And so we got to make sure that we put America first, and that's what we saw with the first bill signed by President Trump. And here's his reaction as they were signing that bill, the Laken Riley bill. Her mom had some words to say, and just watch as you're listening to her, watch Trump's reaction in the background. Take a look at this.
We also want to thank President Trump for the promises he made to us. He said he would secure our borders and that he would never forget about Laken. And he hasn't. He's a man of his word. We trust that he will fight for the American people. Most importantly, I want to thank our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because without his sacrifices, Laken's story would have ended on that horrific day that she was taken from us. But because of him, we can continue living knowing that we will see Laken again.
There's a moment when you're watching it in the full clip where it looks like Trump is about to break a little bit, and you know he's not a emotional character. But what a touching moment, and congratulations to that family, and thank you for sticking to your message and sticking with this administration so we can see this bill being passed. Really is a blessing to see. Finally, if we can put America first, then we can be a blessing to the nations of the world, and we can be a launching pad for the preaching of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So much to talk about, but we've made much ado here about FEMA's reaction to Hurricane Helene, or lack of reaction. And there's a clip that's coming up that's going to show you the tone deafness of this administration, of FEMA, as they're complaining about people who have critical things to say about their lack of response to FEMA. Now, of course, if you have, your people in a location and you're working with them and helping them, those people are going to thank you. But for the vast majority of people, and guys, we've been there every single week. We're taking supplies regularly. We need your help to do that. Again, I can't ask you enough to partner with us to help us get propane tanks up there this winter, sleeping bags, coats, medical supplies, all the things that are needed. We need your help to do that. And the way you do that is by partnering with us. Go to encountertoday.com and let's show the government that you're not qualified anyway. We're the ones who know how to take care of this. And stand with us to be a blessing to those. So we continue to do the work. We're going to keep doing the work until it's built back up. And the Church of Jesus Christ is standing on its own 2 feet there in Western North Carolina. And we've got some amazing, amazing people, ministries on the ground that have been working there. So when it's brought up that a lot of people are unhappy with FEMA's reaction, here's what this representative from FEMA had to say.
Why do you think there's been such blowback and criticism from people in Western North Carolina about FEMA's response?
I would say the people that I talked to in Western North Carolina were very grateful for our response. I was on the ground personally for 4 weeks.
Okay, but let's say, let's just pause it for the sake of argument because we're running out of time, that it's a minority of people in Western North Carolina, just for the sake of argument. Why do you think those people are being critical?
Because they don't understand what we do.
Why do you...
You have got to be kidding me. Why do you think people in Western North Carolina are upset with your lack of performance, with what you've done in Western North Carolina? Because they're stupid. That was her reaction. Because they're stupid. I don't know whether she still has a job, but she should not have a job. This is unacceptable. The reason why we're upset is because you have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea what your role is. And the Biden administration, of course, took FEMA money and spent it on transporting illegal immigrants across the country and hiding them in plain sight. So we have got to stand together. The battle is not over. The Trump administration is doing everything it can to clean up the mess, to clean up the swamp, to drain the swamp. But that's going to take some time, quite a bit of time. And people in North Carolina don't have that time. Still places without power, still places without clean water. And we need you to stand with us. So if you'd like to support our work in Western North Carolina, then partner with us and say, Lord, what would you have me do? What can I sow to be a blessing to those in Western North Carolina? You go to encountertoday.com and just click on the give button. And by the way, at encountertoday.com, we've got a brand new website. It's been refitted with all kinds of resources and materials for you to read, for you to watch, amazing things that you need to take advantage of. Go to encountertoday.com, and I think you'll be blessed by what you find over there. And for those who don't know, we never advertise this, but we have our own app, Encounter Today. We never talk about it, Evan.
Right.
Thousands of people have downloaded the Encounter Today app, and we don't ever talk about it. So you need to download the Encounter Today app. So should there ever be a problem with censorship, where it looks like that's going to be less and less a possibility with this administration, but no matter what, we can always talk to you. We can always get a message to you through the Encounter Today app, and you can always find out what's going on there.
Personally, it's how I give to the ministry. That's how I do my tithes, my seeds, my offerings. I do it all through the app just because it makes it so easy right there on my phone.
Well, I do all my giving through my wife. It's better than the app.
Yeah.
I have all the money. She holds all the money. It's a good partnership, and we get everything done. Thank you so much for partnering with us, everybody. Download the Encounter Today app in your Google Play Store or in the Apple Store. Get it, download it, learn it, live it, love it. Evan, what do we have in the comments? We still got to get to the drones, and we still have to get to the rebuilding of the third temple and some other things. But what do we have in the comments?
Let's see. Lioness Cougar says deception is running deep in today's churches. Let's see. Priscilla says the Greek word for economy is oikonomia. I would have to ask Rick Renner how to say that, honestly, which means household management. Maybe our economy is suffering because we aren't taking care of our house, and it looks like the comment got cut off there. Let's see. Jew and Greek says FEMA may have cost the Democrats the election. That's interesting. Oh, let's see. George says your mic is so quiet. Thank you for letting me know. I'll keep working in the background and testing that.
This is a constant problem I have with you, Evan. I'm constantly telling you your mic is too quiet, and I think you think that I'm just an old guy who, for some reason, isn't able to hear you.
No, it's just there's a lot of moving parts. My mic is not my priority. We got some questions though. I figured I'd go ahead and.
By the way, you mentioned Rick Renner. I've just finished my latest book, and in this book, I've created a unique glossary. I'm not going to give you details about what it is just yet, and a glossary like I've never seen before of terms. And Rick Renner said he said I've never seen anything like this before. And when he was going through my book, he said, well, one of these Greek words the prominent spelling should be this. So I was able to go back through my entire book and respell that Greek word, very important Greek word. And thank God for Rick Renner.
Thank God for Rick Renner.
Amen. What
Come
are some
on.
of these comments and questions?
Well, first off, Priscilla referring to the live stream the other day. Yes, I felt like a proud auntie watching him. That was a lot of fun. June says, recovering Baptist here. LOL. No Calvin blend for me. I drink coffee for the caffeine.
Let it.
Yeah, and then Kathy. By the way, I would buy the coffee if I drank coffee, which I don't. I'm a tea drinker. We need some tea. So what are some different? What should we go? Black tea? Should we go herbal tea? What do you guys think? Now we do have a question from Renee here. Renee Lent. What is happening with Israel and what Candace Owens is saying?
You know, that is such an important conversation because Candace Owens is on a very interesting journey, and I'm concerned with where she's treading. However, the moment you begin to uncover the corruption, let's just use the United States government as an example. The moment you begin to uncover the corruption of the United States government, Google Operation Northwoods, the moment you begin to uncover these kinds of things and see how they operate, you become suspicious of everything. I mean, you become a true conspiracist, if you will, where there's a devil in every doorknob and there's some sort of conspiracy theory behind every corner, because when you look at history and you peel back the curtain, it's true, and it's wilder than you could imagine how dark and deep the corruption is. Now, combine that with any government, including the Israeli government. I've got news for you. The Israeli government, you can like Benjamin Netanyahu, and that's fine, but I can tell you the Knesset is not full of people who appreciate the United States of America or appreciate Christians coming to Israel, except for those tourist dollars. There are wicked, vile people in every government. And so she's on this journey of seeing these things, and I don't know whether she's interpreting them correctly and whether she's taking them too far. It appears as though that in places she's taking it too far. But that doesn't discount a lot of the other things that she's uncovering. And there is coming a time in Israel's future where judgment is going to be poured out. And there's a reason for that. There is a reason for that. Not only Israel, but in the whole wide world. But it centers on that little sliver of land. And why is that? Could it be that there is an enormous amount of corruption? And it's because, of course, there's an enormous amount of accountability, more so for the nation of Israel, because they are the ones who wrote the Bible. They are the ones who gave us the Messiah. And so you'll notice when you look through Old Testament history, you'll see lepers in another nation being healed instantaneously while lepers in Israel were suffering. Why was that? Because there's a different level of accountability for those who possess the word, who possess the truth, and have the ability to walk in it and understand it versus those who don't. So there's a lot we can get to. We should do a whole broadcast on that.
That'd be good.
Subject. But I want to caution everybody from just going to extremes. There's corruption in the United States. That doesn't mean that the United States is purely evil or the idea of the United States is purely evil. There's corruption in the nation of Israel. That doesn't mean that the idea of the nation of Israel or the nation of Israel as a whole is purely evil and corrupt. So we have to decipher those things and recognize that you can love the nation of Israel, which we do, and you can love the Jewish people, which we do, and support them without standing behind a corrupt government system that I think the church needs to make sure it makes those distinctions. For example, we're about to get into the subject of the rebuilding of the third temple here in a moment. Not yet. We're going to do drones first.
Yeah.
But the rebuilding of the third temple is interesting because Christians are getting behind it. They're so excited about Bible prophecy being fulfilled, they don't recognize that the rebuilding of the third temple is an abomination. It's not a good thing. And so Christians so excited about, oh, this is Bible prophecy, and it is Bible prophecy being fulfilled. Let's give them some money to help them do that. I don't know what I think about that. Because it's an abomination to offer sacrifices in the temple, to rebuild that temple. So that's a conversation we need to have, and we may talk a little bit more about that when we get to the prophecy of the third temple being fulfilled. But first, Evan, questions?
Yeah, well, first off, Colorful Seasoning regular viewer said, there is a huge drone outside my kid's school right at this very moment.
Wow.
Very interesting. So I'll keep watching for questions. If you have questions, put 4 question marks before your comment. But I think it's time to get into the drones here.
My wife was outside of our home, and she came in and said, there's a drone that just flew over our house. We said, that can't be. And we went out there, and was there a drone flying over our house? So it's weird. Here's what the Trump administration has to say about the drones in New Jersey. Here it is.
Give me just 1 second.
There she is. Nope, that's not it. You skipped it. It was back.
It was back further.
There, not that one. Not that one. There you go.
Here we go.
Let's see what it has to say.
And before I turn to questions, I do have news directly from the President of the United States that was just shared with me in the Oval Office. From President Trump directly, an update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy. A statement from the President of the United States to start this briefing with some news. And with that, I will turn it over to questions.
Now, you heard it from the Trump administration. These were drones that were flying with approval, which, by the way, we said that from the very beginning. We said that the United States government knows what's in the air. What's in the air had to have approval from the United States government. And they said mostly for research. Okay, what are they researching? And then enthusiasts got in on it and made the situation much worse.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
In the comments, I need some sleuth reporters right now to tell us what you think is actually happening with these drones. My position has been that they will do this, that they will flood the skies with drones, with unidentified aerial phenomenon to get us accustomed to the concept of things in the skies we can't identify, so that we just stop freaking out, we stop responding, we stop reacting, so that they can then proceed to do whatever they want to do. Now, we talk a little bit about this in the book Summoning the Demon, AI, Aliens, and the Antichrist, and we talk about the alien deception that's coming and how globalists will use that in order to push forward their agenda. So you can get all the information at summoningthedemon.com. You can get it at encountertoday.com. But in the comments, Evan, what are we saying? What are our folks saying about the drones?
Yeah, let's see. Amy says, biblically, it's exciting to see prophecy come to pass, but I'm not going to be part of causing it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the drones, like I'm not a drone enthusiast, but I know a lot of drone operators. But to operate a drone of that size, that's totally different than I'm a videographer, a photographer, and just having fun with this drone. Like the biggest drone I've ever seen is probably 3 by 3 feet, and it can hold a decent sized camera. And those are drone enthusiasts from what I've seen and the people that I've met. So for them to use that terminology is kind of weird.
Yeah, and those aren't drones the size of SUVs, which is what was being reported in the skies, 8-foot, 9-foot drones. So I think the fact that they say research, which is such a broad, sweeping thing, I think what we're dealing with is in that, but what are they researching? What exactly is being researched? And again, why is it being done over that particular area more so than any other area? So I don't think we're getting the answers. I don't think the Trump administration is being perfectly transparent about this thing. And you got to ask why. And you know from Trump coming into office, he wanted to be perfectly transparent about it. So why isn't he telling us what we want to know? If it's for research, what are you researching? That's what we need to know. And we're going to stay on this, make sure we keep covering it. But we've got some more breaking news to get into because I want to talk about the Third Temple. And then I want to talk about this interesting idea from, what's his name?
Oh, yeah.
Idris Elba?
Yes.
Idris Elba.
And I've got some questions about the Third Temple we'll get to after we watch this next video, but I also wanted to show what Miguel said. Evan's next solo podcast should feature a photoshopped Didio beard. That'd be interesting. I don't know how we would 3D track that live, but we'll see what we can do.
The actor's by the way, the actor's comments, Idris Elba, who's in all the Marvel movies and a lot of other movies, are so ridiculous. I'm going to save it to the end. I'm saving it to the, because this is, you would think you want to save the most important clip to the end. This is the most, when you hear this, you are not going to believe your own ears when you hear what he's going to say. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, we're going to talk about these drones, the rebuilding of the Third Temple and what that means. But don't forget, guys, Mario Murillo is coming to Charlotte, North Carolina to have a brunch with pastors, February the 22nd. That is going to fill up over the next few days. It is a very small, intimate setting with me, Mario Murillo, and some other guests are going to be in the room that you're not going to want to miss. So make sure you sign up now, mariomurillo.org. Pastors and their teams are able to sign up, and it is free for them. mariomurillo.org. Click on the events page. Now, here is the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, talking about the third temple that the Bible predicts will be rebuilt.
It's actually at the same hotel we've been to before when we went to Israel a while ago. It's the King
Yes.
David Hotel.
Yeah. We didn't stay at the King David Hotel.
Right.
But let's hear what he had to say.
And today, Jennifer and I and others had a chance to go see the western wall of the Temple Mount, the western wall tunnels, so much of the old city. And as you stand there, you can't help but behold the miracle before you. And it got me thinking about another miracle that I hope all of you don't see too far away. Because 1917 was a miracle, 1948 was a miracle, 1967 was a miracle, 2017, the declaration of Jerusalem as the capital was a miracle, and there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible. I don't know how it would happen. You don't know how it would happen, but I know that it could happen. That's all I know.
Wow.
And a step in that process, a step in every process, is the recognition that facts and activities on the ground truly matter. And that's why going and visiting Judea and Samaria, understanding that sovereignty, the very sovereignty of Israeli soil, and Israeli cities, locations, is a critical next step to showing the world that this is the land for Jews and the land of Israel. And I believe, as was mentioned, he said you need to, what was mentioned is you need to buy the ticket. Don't just wish for 40 years to win the lottery, buy the ticket. I would submit to you, in light of the support you have in Washington, D.C., the support you have amongst patriotic Americans, amongst evangelical Christians, amongst believers, amongst Republicans, even amongst some Democrats who can barely say it anymore in Washington. Buy the ticket, take your action, do what needs to be done here in Israel, because I truly believe this is a moment where America will have your back. You have Donald Trump in the White House, you have Mike Pence as vice president, you have Nikki Haley at the UN, you have true believers in Israel and America that have your back.
So listen to this. This was Pete Hegseth during the first administration. This is what he was saying. So we're getting a little insight into what he believes and what he thinks. And his eyes are set on the rebuilding of the temple. I know we've had some questions about this. Evan, what are people saying in the chat?
Yeah, let me find the queue real fast. So Mel says, will the temple be rebuilt before the rapture or after?
That is a good question. It appears that the temple is dedicated at the midpoint of the tribulation, when the Antichrist declares himself to be God and sets up the abomination of desolation, which is 3.5 years into the tribulation. I've been to the Temple Institute in Israel, and I've toured the Temple Institute. It really is, it's fascinating that they have all of the furniture. It's already been built. They have identified the priests. They've identified everything that they need in order to get things moving. They have the designs laid out. And I asked, how long will it take once you have the go-ahead in order to build this the way you want it built? It's 3.5 years. So it appears as though that things happen, the rapture happens, and that paves the way. The peace treaty paves the way for the rebuilding of the temple, and they take 3.5 years to get everything just right. Very high tech, as a matter of fact, and modern, very high tech and modern. The blueprint for it, it was fascinating to tour and to see all these things in real life, because you see them in pictures and you think, oh, isn't that small and cute? No, these items are, many of them, massive. But I think, the rapture takes place, which makes room for the Antichrist to come in, because the Spirit-filled church is holding him back. He comes in, makes that peace treaty, and then plans are made for the rebuilding of the temple. And there's this facade of peace for 3.5 years, even though there is no peace. And then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose the last 3.5 years.
Yeah, let me see. We've got Priscilla said, is the third temple meant to be for the Jewish people to worship God, or is it built for the Antichrist?
Well, I think it's begun as a means of saying that the Jews will have a place to worship God. And then, of course, the Antichrist declares himself to be God. So that seems to be the Antichrist agenda all along, that he wants to put himself as God before the people. And you can get all of that in our verse-by-verse study of the book of Revelation. I think we have that available
Online
on our YouTube channel.
I believe so. Yeah,
I think you can check out. Go look for the Book of Revelation playlist, and you can go through the details of what that means.
Yeah, we've got some other comments coming in as well, but I've noticed that some people are saying, well, this can't be the third temple because the third temple was built before Jesus. So you got the first temple, the second temple, and then they say the third temple was built before Jesus. But actually, this is what I've heard. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but that temple that was built before Jesus after it was destroyed was really just the second temple, just kind of fixed up and put back in place. So it's not the third temple. It doesn't have it's not that layout. It was the second one just kind of rebuilt as the second one, and that's at least how they saw it back then.
Yeah, I mean, really, regardless of what you say, it's the third temple, or what number you put in front of it. The Bible predicts that the temple will be rebuilt in the last days, and that the Antichrist will take his place. There's no temple now. So there's going to be a temple that is built that the Antichrist will step into. Put whatever number in front of you that you want to. There's going to be a temple rebuilt. And when it is rebuilt, the Antichrist is going to get in there and do his thing.
Yeah, let's see. Mel also said the political maneuvering that would have to take place in order to get access to build the third temple is unimaginable of today, for sure.
Yeah, not only that, a lot of the scuttlebutt, if you will, when I was there in Israel on my first trip, and I was talking with Messianic rabbis and just rabbinic leaders, that they had discovered, some people were saying that they had discovered the true location of the temple was not actually where the mosque was. It was just off, and so that it would be possible for both to exist side by side. And so if that's the case, first of all, it wouldn't matter where they would put the temple. That would cause outrage all over the world in the Muslim world. But they say there are political ways in order to make this happen. Of course, if the world is in chaos, and we have the Ezekiel 38 Gog and Magog war, if there is some sort of a nuclear fallout and the world is just trying to coalesce and come back together, all of a sudden the world is willing, all religions, all nations, all people are willing to come together, and that's going to be part of that. That's going to be part of that.
Yeah, let's see. We've got a comment here that says, what do you think of the mark of the beast? Will it be literal? And will it come in place when the Antichrist is revealed?
Yes, the mark of the beast is literal. Now, what exactly it is, we don't know. And a lot of the evangelical world gets excited about the developments of technology, and often they will get ahead of themselves and say, that's the mark of the beast, I don't want anything to do with it. The mark of the beast, in essence, is a reward for worshiping the Antichrist, a mark you receive for disregarding and spurning God and receiving the Antichrist. When you do that, you won't be able to receive the mark accidentally. There will be a clear choice between God and the Antichrist, and when you choose the Antichrist, you will receive this mark that will allow you to buy and sell. So it is a spiritual thing, but it also will be a physical thing that will affect you economically. Good question.
Yeah, let's see. Karen writes, and we might have to do a different broadcast about this, I see Gog and Magog at the end of the millennium.
Well, yes, Gog and Magog are referenced multiple times. It deals with a certain type of rebellion and a certain type and a spirit behind it all. And some have suggested that Gog and Magog were actual individuals or actual principalities, and then individuals that were manipulated by those principalities. And so we kind of see this Gog and Magog brought up again and again and again, and we talk about that in our study in Revelation.
Yeah, let's see. Mark says, I always enjoy Third Temple Talk. Always good to talk about these
We
things.
have a great article on the rebuilding. I think maybe multiple articles. The cool thing about EncounterNews.com is there's a search feature. So you can just search temple.
Right.
And you'll see a lot of the news that we have on the third temple there. So you can go to EncounterNews.com, search temple, or any subject matter for that matter, and get all kinds of cool stuff that's going to feed your faith.
Yes, and real fast, I wanted to say we've got 500-ish people watching right now. It's a good-sized army right there, spiritual army. I have to say spiritual for the algorithm's sake. But at the same time, we only have 149 likes. So let's see if we can get this up to 500 likes, this live stream. That'll help get the gospel in front of more people. Kitty says, these are all great ways to witness to the lost. Definitely. This content, people are interested in this. And I think, yeah.
Likes and shares as well, because both of those slap the devil in the face. And when you share it right now, Share it generally to your social media accounts, but specifically send it directly to pastors and church leaders who need to join with us in the Carolinas, February the 22nd, for our Pastors and Church Leaders Brunch, absolutely free for pastors and church leaders, pastors and their teams, to meet with myself and Mario Murillo at 11 a.m., I believe it is February the 22nd, right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So mariomurillo.org, sign up before it fills up. Now, we make jokes about, for people who don't understand the American culture, the Second Amendment culture that we have here in America. And every time there's a shooting, of course, there's some sort of political knee-jerk reaction to say we need to ban guns. And normally, whatever law they want to implement would not have stopped that shooting or any of the other shootings that generally make the mass news and get mass news coverage. And so we joke and say, well, every time someone runs their car into a crowd of people, we've got to outlaw cars. How about hammers? Hammers kill more people than AR-15s. How about we outlaw hammers? And we joke about that. Knife attacks are more prevalent. How about we outlaw knives? So you can't have kitchen knives. And we joke about that thinking no one's that dumb. Enter Hollywood. And here he is, this actor, Idris Elba.
I think that was right.
And what was his name in all the Marvel movies where he's the gatekeeper, the guardian?
Not Mjolnir, because that's the hammer.
That's the hammer.
I don't know. He has a big sword. Heimdall. He has a big sword.
Yeah. So the guy who made his money carrying around a ginormous sword has some comments about how you shouldn't be allowed to have a cooking knife. Let's hear what he has to say.
The truth is that kitchen knives are perhaps 25% of the knives used in most of the terrible crimes. That's one of the stats in the films. And those kitchen knives are usually a domestic situation, okay? So kitchen knives, of course, it's very difficult. They're a domestic knife. I do think there is areas of innovation that we can do with kitchen knives.
Look, he's about to innovate now. Are you ready? There are areas of innovation. Kitchen knives have been around since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
Man has been using knives, but this Hollywood actor says we can innovate and create a better knife.
Well, his accent makes him sound very authoritative.
Of course, yes. He sounds very Harry Potter.
Yes. But Jeff C. did say Heimdall.
Heimdall.
Yeah.
Whatever. Here's Heim whatever.
I hate to say it, not all kitchen knives need to have a point on them.
What?
That sounds like a crazy thing to say, but actually it would reduce. You can still cut your food without the point on the knife, which is an innovative way to sort of look at it. And in a country in crisis, I'm sorry, but yeah, let's look at that. But the truth is all knives, the loophole on the heritage knives allows the sale of ninja swords to be sold.
Not zombie swords.
So while,
swords.
you've got your granddad's sword on there and you want that, that's fine, of course, but it is leaving a loophole for someone to carry a ninja sword. So let's ban them all. And if you have one of those knives, get a license for it. Simple as that. And I think it's a small contribution to society if you say, all right, I'm going to back that. I'll get a license for my granddad's sword because it is leaving these kids vulnerable.
To have a massive federal bureaucracy keep track of every sharp implement that you may have in your home. Small sacrifice to be made. And he just trusts the government so much that he wants the government involved in what kind of sharp implements you have in your home. And if it's your granddad's ninja sword or zombie sword, then you just register it. And I don't know why your granddad has a zombie sword. I don't know what was going on with your granddad. What was going on in England?
He was watching Walking Dead or something.
Shaun of the Dead. Remember, we're in England. We're in England.
Yeah, sorry. Till like 3 a.m. He wasn't on it.
I don't think he was on his game. What do you guys think about this? Is Idris Elba, Mildernor, or whatever his name is he right?
It'd make more sense to have like classes for the public on self-defense when someone's coming at you with a knife, right?
No, if someone's coming at you with a knife, what you need is a gun.
Yeah.
Actually, pepper spray is a great thing to have on hand, too. in order to de-escalate situations. But in the United States of America, of course, if you are going to conceal carry, then you must take a course on the escalation of force, and you have to understand what is allowed and what is not allowed. Of course, they don't let you know that when they're demonizing large portions of the population.
Tom still says you can poke someone's eye out with a toothpick. Do we ban toothpicks as well?
Well, we'll get there.
And we got to start somewhere.
Yeah, just give us time, and we'll get there. Toothpicks, of course. Any other comments we got?
Nikki said he was watching Pride and Prejudice Zombie Edition. Let's see here. Mr. Jody says, yes, that's true. Priscilla says he probably approves of drones, too. He might not mind them flying over his home. Yeah, that'd be interesting. And let's see. Jill Mann says, so no pens, pencils, fingernail files. The list just keeps going on and on and on and on.
When someone wants to commit evil, they will use whatever device at their disposal in order to commit evil. And removing one device only makes them go to another, which you remove that makes them go to another, and all you've done is eliminate the rights of millions of innocent people, and you've done nothing to save people's lives. And he's talking about how they have an epidemic of knife attacks there. And it's true, they do. And that's because they're soft on crime and because they're importing a large population of immigrants who think that's okay. But that's another conversation for another day. But if you're in the Carolinas, Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, you're in driving distance. You need to come be with us for this crusade in March with Mario Murillo, and you need to be at this pastor's brunch, February the 22nd at 11 a.m. Saturday, so you can do the brunch and you can get back to your church. But we want to impart this vision into you, and it's free for pastors and their teams. MarioMurillo.org. I see another comment up there, Evan.
Yeah, Jeff said, what was that word used at the start of the broadcast?
Ultra-crepidarian.
Ultra-crepidarian. That's Mr. Elba.
That is, I thought you were accusing me there for a moment.
No.
Okay, good.
You're good.
Ultra-crepidarian, the word of the day. Those who talk about things they have little understanding of. Ultra-crepidarians. That is true. We started the broadcast with that word, and we finished it with an example. We showed it in a sentence, if you will. We gave you an example of that.
We should make that a regular thing.
A word of the day?
Yeah, word of the day, and that's the theme of the broadcast.
And the audience could recommend the word of the day.
Hey, that's
and
good,
we
yeah.
take that into consideration. You throw words of the day in the comments, and we just pick them for the next broadcast. And we might pick your word of the day. So check that out. Write them in the comments, and maybe the next broadcast we'll use your word of the day.
The church will be the new thesaurus. Let's do this.
Well, a lot is happening. If you're in the Charlotte area this Saturday night, I've got some amazing announcements I'm going to be sharing with you, plus an outstanding teaching, if I do say so myself, as we dive into the book of 1 Thessalonians.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
And we're going to talk about Paul's prophetic warning to this generation that you're not going to want to miss. So that's this Saturday at the Encounter Charlotte at 6 p.m. You can go to EncounterCharlotte.com or EncounterToday.com for more information about location, and we'll see you there. God bless. Prophetically, God is raising up a nation within a nation, a culture within a culture that is setting slaves free from human trafficking, that is helping the persecuted church around the world, and providing real discipleship. The problem is, on many of these social media platforms, we're not allowed to do that. We have to face censorship, but we have built a brand new platform called Revival Nation.
We need to hide the women and children? Or,
well, hide the women and children because we're about to get uncensored.
Alan, I've never mentioned on any program, but these are the ones who go deeper.
Yes, these are the ones.
Maybe it's good that we're on the we're in the special link.
This is the remnant within the remnant, and when you become a member of Revival Nation, you help us minister to the persecuted church around the world and help believers right here in the United States of America. Plus, you'll get access to all of the uncensored content that's not allowed on this platform. Become a citizen of Revival Nation today by going to revivalnation.com, and I'll see you there.
Everybody who made the decision for premium, I just want to confirm that decision, because you want to know who's serious, who's down, who's here that really wants to have the hard conversations. And then I really want to thank you for creating this space for everybody who's listening right now.